girl Ashley. I'm balling with the I Be Ballin' Basketball Show. You already know. And today I'm gonna review The Money Game. It's on Amazon Prime. It was a great documentary. It follows LSU athletes and how they, navigate uncharted waters of NIL, name, image, and likeness. The LSU athletes they followed were Olivia Dunne, Flaujae Johnson, Angel Reese, Jayden Daniels, Alia Armstrong, yeah, and Trace Young. And they played football, basketball, gymnastics, track and field. And I definitely liked it. They had big names, they had, underrated names, and they showed a lot of sports highlights. So if you're into different sports that I just mentioned, this is for you. If you're trying to learn more about the NIL, you know, landscape, this is for you. You know, if you like LSU, this is for you. If you like any of the athletes I mentioned, this is for you. This is a great sports documentary. I thought it was entertaining. You follow them, you know, you know, from practice, workouts, right? Photo shoots, right? Of course, class, right? And they each have a different story about NIL, and I thought it was very you know, entertaining, especially since NIL it's new. You know, like many years ago, athletes could not get this. They couldn't earn money. The scholarship was all they could get, right? Um, unless you paid them under the table, which of course, a lot of them did, right? But yeah, it talks about the pros and the cons of NIL, right? And I like how each, athlete was handling it differently, but also similarly in different ways. But I think this unscripted series definitely deserves an A. I really liked it. Um it also it talks about the good and the bad because a lot of people are like, no, we don't want these NIL deals because a lot of the kids, you know, because sometimes when you're trying to get to the pro level, right, you're hungry. Some people be like, hey, if they get this money and they in college already, they gonna lose their passion. They not gonna work as hard. They gonna get distracted. They gonna get manipulated, you know. And it's like I feel like each athlete is different. Like some are gonna take advantage of NIL deals and still be hungry and still have work really hard, but some are going to not handle it so well. How are if you're already making pro money as a college player, it's gonna get tricky. I think it takes a village, and that's what I did like about the show because each person sort of had, a little help, with NIL. For example, Olivia Dunne, she's very popular. Um, Gymnastics player and they were her 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 sister really helps her handle NIL. Like, you gotta focus on school and your sport, but NIL it's very busy and it's like another job. So her sister helps her and she gets paid a ton of money, a ton of money just to make a social media post for a sponsor, right? Um, she talked about, winning um possibly winning the championship last season and the SEC title for gymnastics and earning a starting spot, because the roster was very loaded. And it also talked about how, with females versus males, they talked about the differences. You would think that the males were killing it in NIL, but really it's like, Kaylee Clark right there, Angel Reese, right? Olivia Dunne, Flaujae Johnson, they have probably earned more NIL money than a lot of guys. Like, of course, when Bronny James was there and, you know, You have Deion Sanders, you know, sons, they're racking up NIL deals, but the women, they're ruling it. But um, as far as Olivia Dunne, she had to stop going to class because, it was a little like internet could be very toxic, they over sexualize her, because they wear certain outfits, right? Gymnastics, right? And so she had to stop going to class, because of boys, Sometimes you could get stalkers like Paige Beckers, who's in college now. They just caught her stalker that's been stalking her. So it's like crazy. But yeah, they talked about a lot of social media. They talked about the overwhelming schedule in sports and class and the toll and the pressure and the scrutiny and the controversy. And they talked about the human side, right? Pressure, the focus. For Angel Reese and Flaujae Johnson, they're both teammates in basketball, right? And they just won a championship. So they're like, the price is going up. Like, they got major sponsorships, brand deals just for winning a championship, right? And uh, for them, it was like, are they going to repeat, right? And Flaujae Johnson, I remember on the show, she got mad at her team, like her mom and her other family members, because they're kind of helping her with NIL too. She's like, I'm tired of you guys, you know, scheduling the NIL deals because um they have to do certain things, to get that money for the brands. And they're like, when else when else are you gonna do it? You too busy with class and basketball, and she raps. She signed with Rock Nation. She got a good album out called uh, Festival for Rose. She can really rap, like she can really rap. And, she keeps it clean and she got different flows. But go check that music out. And I also remember she in the show played a basketball game. Then right after the basketball game, she goes perform somewhere, right? And she's performing. She's like, "Oh, I'm cramping," and I'm like, "Yo." And it's like nonstop. It's big, go, 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 and I don't know how they do it, but maybe she didn't really recover, stretch, get those fluids right after the game because she's performing, and it had a nice crowd out there. But yeah, for Angel Reese, they talked about, she gonna go to the WNBA or stay in college because she got an extra year for COVID, right? And, they were talking about um, how colleges, right, have more luxuries, right, than the WNBA, right? And there was a lot of controversy last season with Angel Reese because a lot of people started hating on her because she did this to Caitlin Clark. And when Kenneth Clark did it, people was like, okay, that's acceptable. But when Angel Reese did it, they said, oh, why you had to do it in Kenneth Clark's face and follow her around doing this? And I like what Angel Reese said. She's like, hey, somebody got to be the villain. And I think that's what grows sports, NBA, WNBA, villains, rivalries, right? But they also talked about the rematch because they had a rematch, LSU and Ohio Hawkeyes, and Caitlin Clark ended up winning that rematch. So they didn't repeat, and they were definitely. Oh yeah, injuries definitely gets and sexualized and all of that. It's terrible. It also talked about how they broke records and ratings for women's basketball. But they also talked about a lot of controversy because last season she had a mysterious absence. We don't know why. Some people are like, oh, maybe it's her GPA and her grades, and maybe she can't play because of that, or maybe she's pregnant. There was so many rumors, right? And she returned, and she even got benched, so there was controversy with that. But it was basically like, how are they dealing with things? And Jayden McDaniels, who's a football player for the Washington um Commanders, I think. He was the second pick. He's right, but they're talking about his senior year. He even won the Heisman. But it's interesting. His mom was, managing his NIL experiences, and he got a local deal with Gordon, who was like a car dealership, right? But it's interesting what they did. They did take NIL deals, right? Eventually, right? Because they're like, yo, you should be getting more. Then they put NIL on the back burner. That was like, no, they shutting NIL down. Not gonna, you know, promote the brands and sponsorships because they focus on their loan money, they focus on the NFL, they focus on the season, which is interesting because it's like some people are balancing both. I mean, their classes, sports, right? NIL. Some people are like, okay, we had enough distractions. We got some money. Now let's just focus on that NFL money. Let's focus on winning Heisman and taking, LSU as far as they can go, right? So everybody handle it differently. And uh an unknown athlete, sort of, Trace Young, played basketball, right? But he actually was reaching toward brands. He was reaching out to brands instead of the brands reaching out to him. He's unknown. So he's like, hey, let's help each other. That's an interesting tactic, right? And he's good with social media, right? And he was getting into modeling, right? And, he was vlogging, right? And, he decided to stay in college. But social media really helped him because, he knows how to get people likes and views, right? And he was dabbling into a lot of different things, even though he wasn't a big time popular athlete. That's how he was handling it. And so with Alia Armstrong, she's a very great track and field star, but people were overlooking her. She was underrated. It was like, why is she not getting the attention in the NIL deals that others are getting, right? And I feel like sometimes it's the sport, track and field. I feel like people don't, if it's basketball or football, people like, okay, let's support it. But when it's track and field, people are like, nah. So, she even got help from Trace Young. I like that because she wanted to get help with content creation. So he kind of gave her some tips on, how to do this, how to do that, balancing it all, doing a short video about your day, working out or something like that, right? Going to class, right? So, and she basically wanted, her, that season was like, focusing on track and field. It was also like, how can I get a, sponsorship deal? And also she got injured, which kind of hurt her, in the end. And, um, she didn't really make the Olympic trials, but no, she made the Olympic trials, but she didn't qualify. I did like the story with her and her mom because her mom, you know, was a track athlete as well. So it's like in her DNA, it's in her genes, And, you know, I rhinestones. I like the rhinestones. That was a notification. But yeah, I like the rhinestones. She's like the rhymestone queen, she is known for the rhinestones. Um, but yeah, I like that they follow different, athletes around LSU. But they talked about, NIL, potentially going even further than this. Because the Alabama coach, I think his name is like Nick Saban, he didn't like the NIL. He didn't like the NIL um, aspect of this because it's like it's gonna be hard to recruit because now that NIL, you don't have to pay under the table anymore. Because of course, some athletes took money and different things under the table. Of course, they're not just accepting a scholarship. Now some do, some don't. right? So, he's like, he's gonna lose recruits because he's not gonna, offer them more money, right? And like, think about it. Like, think about if NIL was around, Johnny Manziel was playing, or Zion, Reggie Bush, right? It would have been crazy. LeBron. This this is not just for college. This is for high school. High school students are getting paid big time money, and it's not like a little bit of money. It's like big time money from these sponsorships. Beats. You know, beauty products, clothing lines. Whatever you name it, right? Big time money. And they also talked about it could possibly get bigger. The direct pay relationship and the connection could get even bigger. Why? Possible revenue sharing. Possible revenue sharing, right? That's crazy, right? They talked about the Booster Collective, which is like wealthy alumni. So if they went to LSU or any other school, they become wealthy, they're donating money, right? To their school, obviously, right? Even if you're poor, the school want money from you. But you know, let's say an alumni wants you to make an appearance somewhere, you can get paid for going to that appearance, right? And it used to be where a lot of boosters would disguise certain things, right? To get past the whole, no, you only need a scholarship, no to this money. Because I even remember, I think it was Memphis. Like Memphis, Penny Hardaway got in trouble because they're like, you helped this athlete, and his mom with this house or rent or something. And I'm like, yo, it's crazy that you can't even help with that. And even, oh, remember back in the day when LeBron had that Hummer? Um, his senior year, people were like, "How did he get that Hummer?" And it was a present. People are like, "Yo, why you judging us, looking at us? We can't buy nice things, we can't have nice things." But you know, of course, athletes were caught under the table, a little extra on the table. It happens. They're bidding on items. They're having different fundraisers, right? Competitive fundraisers, gala funds. So now it's like, now that this is legal, this is where the competition gets really serious. Because now it's like, where can I go? What school can I go to that will help me get more brands and sponsorships and NIL deals? What school can help me get there? So instead of like, what school can help me get a better education or to the pros or whatever you want, right? Now it's going to be who can pay me the most, or who can get me the most, right? Yeah, so it's a lot of people are debating it. Is this good? Is this bad? Yeah, and maybe we may not know. I feel like it's 50-50, man. It depends on the athlete, and it's going to take a village. Who can you trust? You got to build a good team to, boost your brand. Yeah, some people are very good at social media, getting brands, piece of something, but it's like something. Even the best person that has time management, even the best juggler is gonna have some problems because it's kind of like, you got class, you got a job, you gotta work out, you got basketball practice, you got a game. It's gonna be overwhelming, definitely for a lot of athletes. I do feel like it was this big thing. It's like athletes are getting this bad treatment, right? Scholarship isn't enough. They need extra things. Cause like, what if you trying to make it to the pros, but you stay for years and you're living in the ghetto and all that stuff. And some athletes just wanted a sandwich. There was a big thing about a sandwich, like, oh, the cafeteria is closed. We can't get nothing. I don't got no money to buy nothing. You know, it it started off small, and now it grew bigger. Now you can get paid for your name, image, and likeness. Because before you had to even sign a contract. Like if we put your picture on our website, or something like that, you can't really get paid for it. Remember the Fab Five? They was selling Fat Five jerseys and the Black Sox. Jalen Rose and Chris Webber, they weren't getting paid for that. The school was getting that money. And a lot of people are like, well, if the school coaches and if everybody can get paid millions of dollars, right, from a game, athletes are saying, why can't I get money off of my name, my image, my face? But they're like, hell, is a scholarship enough? Did NIL take it too far in getting all of this? Should they have waited until should it have stayed the same? I definitely don't think it should have stayed the same. I do think some athletes, you know, deserved, a little something, something extra, than a scholarship. But did it take is NIL taking things too far? I feel like every case is going to be different. There's going to be some athletes who it changes your lives, right? And you're gonna stay focused. You're gonna stay, um, on your P's and Q's, school, brands, practice. You're gonna stay on your P's and Q's. You're not gonna go crazy over this. You're still gonna have that work ethic, that dedication, that motivation. Or are the parents and the old heads are gonna say, hey, yeah, it's not the same no more. These kids, they lazy. They don't want to work. They getting paid for their face instead of, because they really getting paid for your face instead of the product. Because like, of course, you gotta stay a top athlete, or they're gonna be like, yo, why we paying you to build our brand when you not really doing what you need on the court. But what you do on the court translates to, base, translates to the money. But I feel like it's good, it's bad, and like with everything, there's risk, there's reward, there's pros, there's cons, there's good, there's bad. Tell me what you guys think. Do you guys like the NIL landscape? Do you think NIL took it too far? Do you think it should stay the same? Do you think it should have been somewhere in between? You know, because I do feel like, yeah, if school's making millions, billions off of you, why not let you get a little something, get you a percentage? But is NIL taking it too far? Let me know in the comments. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for joining me. More episodes, more NBA, WNBA, college, TV reviews, NBA 2K videos. All that's on the way. Hey, hey, hey. Peace. Stay ballin'.